To get a quick update out of New York, where closing arguments are expected to begin tomorrow in the federal sex trafficking trial for Sean Diddy Combs.
Joining us now from outside the courthouse is Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft. All right, Kelly, catch us up on the latest.
Well, hi there, Michael and Judge Ashley. I was just inside the courtroom for the start of the charge conference. It was supposed to start at 12. Then 2, and then it got delayed even further to 3:45. And so they're going through the jury instructions, and each side, the federal prosecutors as well as defense counsel, they are making various proposals, and then the judge is making changes to those jury instructions. So, for instance, what they're talking about is this core purpose of the criminal enterprise. And also, the defense counsel is making this argument, again, that this is just one person satisfying his own personal interests. That does not mean this is a criminal enterprise. So those are the discussions taking place inside the federal courthouse right now as we speak. Earlier today, the prosecution streamlined their case. And so they proposed a letter, they wrote a letter to the judge saying they are going to streamline their case. And this is in regard to the attempted arson, as well as the attempted kidnapping, as well as sex trafficking, aiding and abetting. During yesterday's proceedings, the defense counsel put forth a Rule 29 motion in which they made their argument for a judgment of acquittal, in particular talking about the attempted kidnapping. Why don't we go ahead and play a little bit of that argument? Again, this is AI-generated testimony because cameras are not allowed inside the federal courthouse.
The first incident is as to Capricorn Clark. Under New York law, she told the story about the lie detector test and how, according to her testimony, for 5 days straight, she was transported by Paul Offord to a building in Manhattan that was going to be the new office for Mr. Combs's businesses. And this does not satisfy the requirements under New York law. If she was ever restrained without her consent at all, most importantly, there's no evidence in the record that Mr. Combs knew that this was happening or agreed that a co-conspirator should kidnap her. At most, the evidence showed that he knew his jewelry was missing and that she was one of the employees being investigated for the possible theft of the jewelry. But her alleged interactions were entirely with Mr. Offord and the person she claims administers the lie detector test. There's no evidence whatsoever that if this occurred, that Mr. Combs had any idea it was going on. And speculation obviously can't fill the gap. In addition, there are serious questions about whether the government could prove that this was without her consent under New York law. She went willingly every day.
So that was one of the arguments that was made yesterday. Why don't we go ahead and pull up the verdict form so we can take a look at that. Both sides have agreed. The parties have agreed to this verdict form. That was the first thing out of the gate when this hearing, the charge conference began this afternoon. The judge even said, this is the most people I've ever seen inside a room for our charge conference, Michael and Judge Ashley. So that gave everyone a little moment of levity inside the courtroom. But as I mentioned earlier, Sean Diddy Combs in very good spirits when he made his way inside the courtroom. He did some touching of his chest, kind of pounding his hand against his chest, looking at some of his supporters and family members that are inside the courtroom. One of his sons just made his way into that courtroom just a short time ago, but he's in pretty good spirits today, to say the least.
All right, Kelly Craft, thank you so much for that report. Truly appreciate it.